الكساء فدنا الحسين نعم الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكم تحت الكساء فقال عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك راية طيبة كأنها راية أخي وابن أمير رسول الله فقلت نعم ها هو ما ولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نعم الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معهم تحت الكساء فقال عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أباته يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء فقال عليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بازتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرافي الكساء وأم بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لهم لهمي ودام دامي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وحزب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدية ولا خمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء خمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء فقال أمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالوها وبنوها اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وأقبل نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرض مدية ولا خمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنهم نعم قد أذنت لك فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد هوى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبي واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محفل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتفرقوا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال علي عليه السلام إذن والله فوزنا وفازت شيعتنا ورب الكعبة فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبي واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محفل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيه معهم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مهموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وخذ الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام عز والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
پر محمد والے محمد صلوات. بیان کرتا ہوں زندہ میں کیا قیامت تھی. غریب بابا سے جس دم غریب بیٹی ملی وہ اپنے بابا کے سر سے لپٹ کے رونے لگی. تڑپ کے لی جو سکینہ نے آخری کی. ارے کلیجہ پھٹتا ہے کیسے سناؤں وہ منظر. رکھی تھی بیٹی نے رخسار باپ کے منہ پر. اندھیری قید میں پھر کیا ہوا سنو آگے. بہن کو دیکھا جو بابا کے سر سے لپٹے ہوئے. تڑپ کے بالی سکینہ کے پاس آ پہنچے. جو نبض دیکھے تو سجاد نے کہا رو کے. اٹھا رہی تھی جو اب غم وہ تھک گئی غم سے. پھوپھی ہماری سکینہ بچھڑ گئی ہم سے. لرز رہا تھا وہ زندان آہو گریا سے. یہ بولے عابدے مضطر غریب زہرا سے. چھڑاؤں کیسے میں سر آپ کا سکینہ سے. ملی ہے کتنے دنوں بعد اپنے بابا سے. بہت غریب ہوں یہ غم اٹھا نہ پاؤں گا. بہن کی گود سے میں سر چھڑا نہ پاؤں گا. سر حسین چھڑایا جو یا علی کہہ کر. کہاں سکینہ سے تم پر سلام اے قاہر. نہ جانے کتنے احسان آپ کے مجھ پر. یہ بھائی کیسے اتارے گا قبر کے اندر. یہ دیکھو جکڑا ہے زنجیر میں ہمارا بدن, تمہارا لاشانہ بھائی سے اٹھ سکے گا بہر. ستمگروں نے جو کربو ولا میں باندھی تھی, گلے میں ہو گئی پیوست ہائے وہ رسی. چھنے تھے بالیاں ہے کان آج بھی زخمی. ستم کی حد یہ ہوئی آپ مر گئے پیاسی. آیا ہے چہرے پہ اب تک نشان تماچوں کے, چھپاؤں کیسے بھلا میں یہ نیل گالوں کے. وہ راہ شام وہ غربت بھلاؤں میں کیسے. ایک ایسا موڑ تھا غازی کا سر تھا نیزے پہ, جب ان کے سامنے لا کر پکڑ کے بالوں سے تماچے مارتے ظالم تم کو ہنس ہنس کے. لائن کہتا تھا عباس اب نہ آئے گا, نہیں ہے کوئی جو دلوں سے اب بچائے گا. پکاری لاشیں سکینہ پہ زینب مزتر, یہ کربلا میں قیامت گزر گئی تم پر. پھوپھی کے ساتھ کھڑی دیکھتی رہی منظر, چلا ہے بھائی کے سوکھے گلے پہ جب خنجر. کہا یہ بھائی نے جو میرا ساتھ ہے زینب, رکھو سکینہ کے آنکھوں پہ ہاتھ ہے زینب. اور محمد والے
سر عباس سے رو رو کے یہ زینب نے کہا, بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے. فاطمہ کی ہوں میں بیٹی, مجھے آتی ہے حیا. فاطمہ کی ہوں میں بیٹی, مجھے آتی ہے حیا. بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے. میری مادر کا جنازہ تو اٹھا تھا شب میں, جس کا احساس تو زندہ ہے دل زینب میں.
ایک چادر تو میرے سر پہ اڑا دو بھیا، بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے، سر عباس سے رو رو کہ یہ زینب نے کہا، بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے، اے زمین پھٹ جا سما جائے علی کی بیٹی، تاکہ زینب کا تعارف کرائے کوئی، 700 کرسی نشینوں سے ہے مجمع ہے بھرا، بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے، سر عباس سے رو رو کہ یہ زینب نے کہا، بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے، موت سے کم نہیں بازار میں جانا میرا، دیکھنے آئے ہیں سب لوگ تماشا میرا، موت سے کم نہیں بازار میں جانا میرا، دیکھنے آئے ہیں سب لوگ تماشا میرا، کیسے میں منہ کو چھپاؤں میرے وارث تو بتا، بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے، فاطمہ کی ہوں میں بیٹی مجھے آتی ہے حیا، بیریدا شام کے بازار میں جاؤں کیسے،
اور محمد و آل محمد صلوات۔ افسوس صد افسوس سکینہ قیدی ہے، ہاتھوں میں ہتھ کڑیاں، پیروں میں بیڑیاں، اور کانوں سے بالیاں چھینی گئی، بالیوں نے دی صدا کاش ہم ٹوٹ جاتے تو سکینہ کی لبیں بچ جاتی۔ قبلہ لبیں کان کے نچلے حصے کو کہا جاتا ہے۔ دیکھیں بالیاں بیان کر رہی تھی شام غریبہ کو کہ کاش ہم ٹوٹ جاتے تو کم از کم سکینہ کے کان زخمی نہیں ہوتے۔ بالیاں شام تلک دیتی رہی ایک صدا، ٹوٹتے ہم تو سکینہ کی لبیں بچ جاتی، ہائے ایک سال تلک زخم نہ رہتا تازہ، ٹوٹتے ہم تو سکینہ کی لبیں بچ جاتی، بالیاں شام تلک دیتی رہی ایک صدا، ٹوٹے ہم تو سکینہ کی لبیں بچ جاتی، ننھے رخسار ہیں ننھے رخسار ہیں اور شمر کا پنجہ ہے بڑا، انگلیاں کانوں کے زخموں کو جو کرتی ہے ہرا، کسی صورت میں بھی کانوں سے لہو رک جاتا، بالیاں شام تلک دیتی رہی ایک صدا، بالیاں شام صدا ٹوٹے ہم تو سکینہ کی لبیں بچ جاتی کان زخمی ہے کان زخمی ہے گلا زخمی ہے ہاتھ ایسا ہوتا ہی نہیں ہائے یتیموں کے ساتھ بچنے پائی نہیں اس بی بی کی ننھی سردار بالیا دیتی رہی ایک صدا بر محمد و آل محمد بولی ماں کیا ہوا سکینہ کو غشی کیوں آ گیا سکینہ غشی کیوں آ گیا سکینہ کیوں یہ خاموش ہو گئی کس نے کیا کہہ دیا سکینہ کس نے کیا کہہ دیا کیا خبر اس کو کیا ہوا بیٹا دیکھو آپ ذرا سکینہ دیکھو آپ ذرا غربت میں چھین کر مجھ سے لے گئی کیوں خدا سکینہ لے گئی کیوں خدا نہ شکایت ہے اب تماچوں کی نعرہ سکینہ نارسن کا گلا سکینہ کو بولی ماں کیا ہوا سکینہ کو محمد صلوات پہنچے جو ہی ترائی میں پادی دے پورا دیکھا ٹبا ہے خاک پا فرزند بو تورا شانوں پہ کی نظر تو جگر کو رہی نہ تھا بس آئے بھائی کہہ کے گرا وہ فلک جناب بس آئے بھائی کہہ کے گرا وہ فلک جناب بیکار دست و پا تھے شہ خوش خصال کے لے آئے لاٹا کلیت پر لے آئے لاٹا کلیت پر مورت کے خون بھرے ہوئے
تیرے شانوں کی محفل بازو کے سرتین تیرے شانوں کی محفل بھیا ہمارے ہاتھوں بیکار ہو تم ہاتھ ہو کے جعفر تیار ہو تم ہاتھ ہو کے جعفر تیار ہو تم ہاتھ ہو کے جعفر تیار ہو گئے بیٹھے لیتا ہوا کیا دور ہے حضور اگر بخش دے گناہ سرشخ ضرب گرز سے یا شاہدی پناہ کروٹ بھی اب تو لے نہیں سکتا ہے کروٹ بھی اب تو لے نہیں سکتا ہے تو تیرے بولے میں جراحت پھٹے ہوئے دیکھے حضور میرے بازو دیکھے حضور میرے بازو دیکھے حضور میرے بازو پھٹے مورا کے منہ پکنے لگے شائع خوش کسان ارے عباس میں کن آنکھوں سے دیکھوں تیرا یہ حال اس دم بھی ہے تمہیں میرے آداب کا خیال جب زیبا ہوں گے ہم تو کسے جب زیبا ہوں گے ہم تو کسے صدقے حسین تیرے تنے پاس پاس ایک بار ہم کو گرد تو پھرنے دلال ایک بار ہم کو گرد تو پھرنے دلال یہ سن کے اسے دل نے ایک سرد آگ کی مشکیز پا تڑپ کے بشارت نگاہ کی ارے منہ شرم سے چھپا لیا گودی میں شاغ کی حالت تباہ ہو گئی حالت تباہ ہو گئی حضرت جب دل کو بے کلی ہو تو کس طرح کل پڑے زانو پہ شیک آنکھوں سے آنسو نکل پڑے زانو پہ شیک آنکھوں سے آنسو نکل پڑے زانو پہ شیک آنکھوں سے آنسو نکل پڑے یہ کہتے تھے کہ پھر گئے آنکھوں کے بھر یہ کہتے تھے کہ پھر گئے آنکھوں کے کتے یہ کہتے تھے کہ پھر گئے آنکھوں کے کتے ہچکی کے ساتھ آ گئی سوکھے لبوں ہچکی کے ساتھ آ گئی سوکھے لبوں پہ ہچکی کے ساتھ آ گئی سوکھے لبوں پہ حسرت سے دیکھ کر طرف شاہین سو جائے دنیا سے گوچ کر گئے عباس دنیا سے گوچ کر گئے عباس دنیا سے گوچ کر گئے عباس چھوڑا جریر سارا شہر مشرق ایک گل اٹھا کے مر گیا عاشق حسین ایک گل اٹھا کے مر گیا عاشق حسین ایک گل اٹھا کے مر گیا عاشق حسین
محمد والے محمد صلوات محمد والے محمد پیشمان لا حول ولا قوة إلا
بالله العلي العظيم أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق صالح الأصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحيته والإكرام على سلطان الخلائق أجمعين وسيد الأولين والآخرين وخاتم النبيين وشفيع المذنبين ورحمة للعالمين ورسول المسدد والمصطفى الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
آل الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين المنتخبين الميامين الهادين المهديين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
على سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه فدا ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ومناقبهم وبلايتهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. القول مني في جميع الأشياء قول آل محمد عليهم الصلاة والسلام فيما سروا وما أعلنوا فيما بلغني عنهم وما لم يبلغني. أما بعد فقد قال الله عز وجل وقل الحمد لله وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى صلوات محمد for the acceptance of this majlis and for the increment in its spirituality. Another salawat, very loudest voices on Muhammad. The interpretation of Ziyarat-e-Jamia Kabira, and we discussed the interpretation of the word salam, and we were discussing the interpretation of the word Ahlebaith Nubuwwah. And while discussing this statement of Ziyarat-e-Jamia Kabira, we came to a point yesterday while we were discussing that this Nubuwwah, which is referred to in Ziyarat-e-Jamia Kabira, is not an earthly Nubuwwah. It is not limited to a particular person or a particular community. Rather, this is the celestial Nubuwwah, the divine Nubuwwah. This is Nubuwwat-e-Mutlaqa. This is the complete and perfect Nubuwwat, which is synonymous to Khilafat-e-Ilahiyya or the divine caliphate. And we reached a point where we were discussing that this is actually a reference to Haqiqat-e-Muhammadiyya. And while we were discussing regarding Haqiqat-e-Muhammadiyya, we reached a point yesterday while we were discussing on the issue, on the fact that Haqiqat-e-Muhammadiyya has been blessed with a lot of things. And one of those blessings was the qameez which was given to Haqiqat-e-Muhammadiyya. A qameez which the body of the qameez was made up of corundum or yaqut, and the sleeves were made of pearls or lu'lu, and the collars from which the face or the head appears was made from the light of Rabb, the Noor of our Lord Azza wa Jalla. And we arrived at this point that for today we will be discussing the second phase of the ziyarah, that is Mawd or Risala, the location of the message. But let us first, we haven't completed Ahlebaith al-Nubuwwah. There were a few things left, and let's just complete them first and coming to that point of Mawd or Risala. I need all your attention. See, I understand that this topic is a bit tricky one, and this topic is a bit difficult topic. Why? Because this is actually a saying of a Ma'soom Imam alayhi salam. And they themselves have said, Inna amruna sa'abun mustas'ab. Our affairs are very difficult to understand. very difficult to comprehend. No one can understand our affairs except for an archangel, not even a common angel, an archangel, a malak-e-muqarrab, or a prophet, not even any common prophet, rather Nabi ya Mursal, or Rasul amongst the prophets. And who else can understand them? Mu'min mumtahan, a mu'min, a believer whose heart has been tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only they can understand the statements of the Ahlebaith. But if we see, I know that it is, their amr is sa'abun mustasaf. Their affair is difficult, and not only difficult to understand, but they themselves have said in the book Basair al-Darajat, again referring to a book Basair al-Darajat. Basair al-Darajat is one of the most important books that we have today. Basair al-Darajat is written by marhum Safar Rizwanullah Ta'ala, who he was the companion of our 11th Imam Hasan Askari alayhi salam. If you go and read Basair al-Darajat, you will find there is a narration. Marhum Safar has created an entire chapter for this. Inna amruna sa'abul mustashab. Our affair is very difficult to comprehend, very difficult to understand. Similarly, inna hadithuna sa'abul mustashab. Our hadiths and our sayings are also very difficult to understand. Similarly, there you find a narration. Imam alayhi salam said, inna amruna sirrun mustatir. Inna amruna sirrun mustatir. Wa sirrun la yafiduhu illa sir. Wa sirrun ala sir. Wa maqna'u bisir. That our affair is a secret affair. Our affair is secret, is a secret, sir, but not a usual sir. Inna amruna sirrun mustatir. It is a secret within the secrets. La yafiduhu illa sir. It is a secret which would lead you towards another secret. Sirrun ala sir. It is a secret upon a secret. Wa maqna'u bis sir. It is a secret covered with secret. Inna amruna sirrun mustatir. It is our affair, is our matter, is a very secret issue. And similarly, but the thing is understood, and that point is taken, that their issue and their affair and their matter is a very serious one. Their sayings are very secretive sayings. But does it mean that we do not comprehend over them? Does it imply that we do not ponder over them, we do not reflect over them? Again, referring to a principle which has been laid down by the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself, wherein the Prophet says, "Ma la yudrakuhu la yudrakuhu, ma la yudraku kullu la yudraku kullu." If something cannot be understood completely, then it should not be left away completely. If you cannot understand everything, then try to understand something out of it. So we are actually in a position of understanding. We discussed nearly 1.5 majalis worth on the word salam. And then we started discussing Ahlebaith and Nubuwwah, and we've reached a position where we are still discussing Ahlebaith and Nubuwwah. What are we doing actually? We are actually trying to understand something which we know that it is a sir, that it is a secret, that it is amruna sa'abun mustasab. It is very difficult for us to understand and very difficult for us to comprehend. But are we barred from reflecting upon it? The answer is no. We should try our level best to understand the kalam of the Ahlebaith, especially in the times when we see that the kalam of Ahlebaith has been left by the people of the pulpit. They are leaving behind the kalam of the Ahlebaith, while this is the kalam of the Ahlebaith, and this is the power of the sayings of the Ahlebaith, about which our Imam has said, "Law aliman nasa mahasina kalamina lattabi'una." If the people had known the beauty of our sayings, they would have followed us. لو علم الناس محاسن كلامنا لاتبعونا. If the people would have known the beauty of our kalam, they would have. And in Ziyarat Jamia itself, we say kalamukum nur wa amrukum rushd, that your words, the words which were uttered by you, your words, your sayings, your kalam is a nur. Your kalam itself is nur. Your kalam itself is light. Nur. Nur. And when it comes to Ziyarat al-Jamia, the kalam becomes nur ala nur. Salawat on a bit closer to the pulpit, please. Salawat on Muhammad and Very fastly I'm moving towards Ahlebaith and Nubuwa and all the other salah, and I'll try to end it within the time, before the time itself. I'll try to end it, but please try to be with me. This is the kalam of the Ahlu. Kalamukum nur. That kalam itself is nur. The kalam itself is light. And in the words of our fifth Imam, who said to Hazrat Abu Khalid Kabuli, Rizwanullahi ta'ala alayh, one of the greatest companions of our Imams in the history of the Shiite literature, one of the greatest companions, Abu Khalid Kabuli, Rizwanullahi ta'ala alayh. Abu Khalid Kabuli, one of the greatest names we have in the chain of narrators, one of the great, undoubtedly, one of the greatest companions of our fifth Imam, one of the Hawaris of our fifth Imam, Abu Khalid Kabuli. Imam alayhi salam said to Abu Khalid Kabuli, he said, Ya Aba Khalid, the light and nur of an Imam in the heart of a believer is brighter than the light of the sun. The light and nur in the heart of the light and nur of an Imam in the heart of a believer is brighter than the light of the sun. We'll try to use that light to understand the kalam of the What we are actually doing is we are referring to the narrations of the Ahlebaith. I am not presenting, I am trying to present and narrate as many ahadith as I can, because I am trying to explain the kalam of Ahlebaith through the kalam of Ahlebaith. I am trying to explain the kalam of Ahlebaith through the kalam, and we do not need anyone else. Ya Kumail, La ta'khud illa anna takun anna. The same narration which we narrated in the first majlis. O Kumail, do not ask for anything from anyone except us until you become one of us. I know that this is a very difficult matter to comprehend and understand, especially when we are speaking about Ziyarat al-Jamia, one ziyarat, a comprehensive ziyarat for all the Imams. And as said yesterday, that this ziyarat has a unique significance in terms of that I spoke about this issue yesterday, that our 10th Imam has narrated two ziyarat, what we have today. One ziyarat is the ziyarat of Amir al-Mu'mineen on the day of Ghadir, and the second ziyarat is ziyarat Jamia Kabira. And this ziyarat is also primarily for Amir al-Mu'mineen in the first place, and secondly for his infallible sons. This ziyarat was primarily for Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyid al-Awsiya, Abul Aimma. This ziyarat was primarily for Amir al-Mu'mineen. Hence we say in Ziyarat al-Jamia, if we are reciting it for Amir al-Mu'mineen, we say, wa ila akhika bu'itha ruhul amin. If we are reciting for his infallible sons, we say, wa ila jaddikum bu'itha ruhul amin. This difference has arisen because the Ziyarat al-Jamia in its first place is for Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is actually, as I said yesterday, this is actually Ali speaking about Ali. And what happens when an Ali speaks? What happens when an Ali speaks? What happens when an Ali speaks? Josh Maliyawadi says, what happens when an Ali speaks? He says, Anwar मुझे तोल रहे हैं खामोश। अनवार मुझे तोल रहे हैं खामोश, असरार ज़बां खोल रहे हैं खामोश। अनवार मुझे तोल रहे हैं खामोश, असरार ज़बां खोल रहे हैं खामोश। ए पैके महल शनास जिब्रील अमीन, oh the archangel Jibreel who knows when to bring what message. ए पैके अनवार मुझे तोल रहे हैं खामोश, असरार ज़बां खोल रहे हैं खामोश। ए पैके महल शनास जिब्रील अमीन, इस वक्त अली बोल रहे हैं। सल्लल्लाहु मुहम्मद We were actually discussing on Ahlebaith al-Nubuwah, and as I said yesterday, that this is a reference to Haqiqat Muhammadiyah. This is Nubuwwat al-Mutlaqa, this is Nubuwwat al-Ta'amma. This is not an earthly prophethood, rather this is a divine and celestial prophethood that we are referring to, which is synonymous to Khilafat Ilahiyah, or the divine caliphate. And what are we referring to? Yesterday I narrated that Qamis hadith which mentioned about the Qamis which was given to Haqiqat Muhammadiyah. What else do we have in the reference to Haqiqat Muhammadiyah? Rasulullah himself said, what is the Haqiqat Muhammadiyah? What was that first light, the first intellect, the first ruh, the first nur, aql awwal, nur awwal, khalq awwal, ma awwal, isme a'zam and zikr akbar akbar, the tajalli azam, isme azam. What all different terms we have in our tradition and in our literature, rich literature, what all different words which are synonymous to this reality, the supreme reality, the divine reality. What is this Haqiqat Muhammadiyah? Rasulullah himself said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created me. And yesterday I spoke on the issue that our creation is not similar to the creation of Muhammad and Muhammad. There is a difference in the creation itself. We have been created differently and they have been created differently, and our minds and our intellects cannot comprehend the reality of their creation. Their creation was something which cannot be understood by us. There are some things which cannot be understood by us. There are, like yesterday when I said that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them, they say that we glorified Allah, we did His glorification before the creation of glorification. We praised Allah before the creation of praise. So they glorified. So these are the things which simply, Sahaba Mustasab, let's leave them and let's proceed further. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this light, the Nur Awwal. What did He do? Rasulullah himself says, Inna Allah khalaqa arshan binuri. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the divine throne, the arsh, out of my nur. From my nur. This is again a reference to Haqiqat Muhammadiyah. I need all your attention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created arsh from my nur. Wa nuri min nurillah. Wa ana afdalu min arsh. Rasulullah said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the arsh, the divine throne, from my light, from my nur. And my nur is from the nur of Allah. And I am afdal, better than arsh. I am afzal, better than arsh. What is arsh? So that we can understand, try to understand what is Haqiqat Muhammadiyah. What is arsh actually? The divine throne. What is arsh? There are two words which are used in a similar manner. One is arsh and the other is kursi. Arsh refers to a throne, literal meaning is a throne, and kursi, literal meaning is a chair. And there is the words of kursi, ayatul kursi, where is the mention of kursi? Wasi'a kursiyuhu samawati wal ard. His chair is wider than the heavens and the earth. For yesterday, as I said, that when we say Nabi, when we say Nubuwwat, our meanings, what the meaning which we take is different from the meanings taken by the general Muslims. Our Nabi and their Nabi is different. Our Nubuwwat for us and Nubuwwat for them is different. Similarly, Arsh and Kursi for us and for them are also different. They have the concept of a very unique concept of kursi and arsh. What they feel is that there is actually a chair there. And na'uzubillah, nastaghfirullah, Allah is sitting on that chair. And that chair makes noise, and this happens to that chair, and this happens. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. If you leave the Ahlebaith, this is the tawheed that you get. That Allah, na'uzubillah, Allah is sitting on that throne, Allah is sitting on that chair, and this is the tawheed that you are getting. You leave the Ahlebaith, your loss begins from the loss of tawheed. It begins from la ilaha illallah. You leave Aliyun Waliyullah, you forget about la ilaha illallah. There is no la ilaha illallah left with you. So you leave the Ahlebaith, and this is the tawheed that you get. There is a chair, na'uzubillah, there is a throne, and Allah, na'uzubillah, sometimes sits on the chair, sometimes sits on the throne, and that throne is carried by the Hamilin, the bearers of the arsh, the bearers of the throne, the four archangels who are carrying that arsh. If the angels are carrying the throne on which, na'uzubillah, Allah is sitting, then this implies that the angels are mightier than Allah. They have more strength than Allah. They are carrying Allah himself. Na'uzubillah, nastaghfirullah. Again, inna lillah. This is the tawheed that you are getting when you leave the arkan al-tawheed. Ahlebaith alayhi salam are the pillars of tawheed. They are the pillars of tawheed. As I said it before, that you leave the Ahlebaith, the pillar, if you remove that pillar, what would happen? The roof of tawheed will fall upon your head. This is what you are facing. That you leave the Ahlebaith, and this is the tawheed that you are getting. You're getting a God sitting, I don't know what kind of a God it is, who's sitting on the throne and who's sitting on the chair. Sometimes he sits on the throne, and sometimes he sits on the chair, and sometimes he comes down. And when it was asked to a great scholar, how does he come down? So he's sitting on the pulpit, he takes a few steps down and says, this is how Allah comes down. This is the tawheed that you are getting. If you leave the other life, this is the tawheed that you are getting. This is na'uzubillah, nastaghfirullah, how Allah. See, there are two kinds of idols. One idol is the one which is made by our hands, and the second idol is the one which is made by our minds. If you are leaving la ilaha illallah, there are chances that you will be worshipping an idol which is made by your hands. But if you are leaving Aliyul Waliyullah, there are chances that you are worshipping a God which is made out of your mind. But if you look at the narrations of the Ahlebaith, at the traditions of the Ahlebaith, at the ahadith of Ahlebaith, what is the reality of Arsh? What is actually Arsh? What is Arsh? Which has been created by the light of Rasulullah. What is Arsh? Actually, what is Arsh? See, these words, Kursi and Arsh, we hear them together. But what do these words mean in the traditions of the Ahlebaith? Whatever exists in this universe, every single atom, every single molecule, whatever exists in this universe is within the realm of Kursi.
Wow.
Whatever has an existence is within the realm of Kursi. And Kursi is within the realm of Arsh. And what is their relationship? What is their relationship? In the words of the Ahlebaith alayhi salam, the seven heavens, when compared to Kursi, is like a ring thrown in the plain deserts. What is the value of a ring which has been thrown away in a desert? What is the value of the ring which has been thrown away in a desert? It is worthless. The entire creation in respect to the Kursi is like a ring which is in a desert. And the Kursi in respect to the arsh is like a ring in the plain desert. And Rasulullah is saying that arsh has been created from mine. And hence I am greater than the arsh. What is this arsh? What is this arsh? So try imagining the fact that the entire 7 heavens are placed in kursi, and their relationship with kursi is like a ring placed in a plain desert. What does it mean? Last year when we were discussing teachings of Ahlebaith and modern science, we discussed the speed of light. What is the speed of light? 3 lakh kilometers per second, which is denoted by c. The speed of light is 3 lakh kilometers per second. According to NASA, the diameter of the observable universe, which has been observed, the unobservable universe, the unobserved universe, leave it alone. The diameter of the observable universe is what? It is nearly, if I can remember it correctly, it is in billions and billions of light years. Billions of light years. I do not remember the exact figure, but it is in billions, around 900 billion light years is the diameter which has been calculated of the observable universe. Leave alone the unobservable universe. Combine everything with respect to kursi is like a ring in a desert. And that kursi in relationship to the arsh is like a ring in a desert. And that arsh is what? That arsh is the arsh which has been created from the light of Rasulullah. And Rasulullah is saying that I am afdal than arsh. I am greater than arsh. Try imagining the fact that if our little and tiny minds cannot comprehend the extent of this universe, then how can they comprehend and understand the extent of kursi? And if they cannot understand the extent of kursi, then how can they understand, even try to understand the extent of arsh? If they cannot understand the extent of arsh, then how can they understand the light from which this arsh was created? And if they cannot understand the part, a small fraction of that light from which this light was created, then how can they understand someone about whom Rasul said, Lahmuka lahmi? What is arsh? Which is again a part, and if we try to understand Haqiqat al-Muhammadiyya, if we are trying to understand Ahlebaith al-Nubuwwah, what is arsh? Again, what is arsh? In the traditions of the Ahlebaith alayhi, if you look at the sun around, say, in the noon time, can you stare at it for a long time? You cannot stare at it. Why? Because your eyes cannot bear the rays of the sun, the light of the sun. In the words of the Ma'sumin alayhi salam, if I remember it correctly, it is in Tafsir al-Quran, where Imam alayhi salam said, and the gist and the summary of the narration is that the light of the sun is actually 1/70th part of the light of kursi. And kursi is 1/70th part of the light of the arsh. And arsh is actually, the light of the arsh is actually 70th part of the light of the veil, the hijab. And that hijab, the veil, is actually 70th, that the light of that hijab is actually 70th part of the curtain, the sitr. The sun is the 70th part, the light of the sun with all its greatness and magnanimity. the light of the sun is 70th part. The intensity of the light of the sun is 70th part of the intensity of the light of Kursi. And the intensity of the light of Kursi is the 70th part of the intensity of the light of Arsh. And the intensity of the light of Arsh is 70th part of the intensity of the light of Hijab. And the intensity of the light of Hijab is 70th part of the intensity of the light of the curtain, the sidr. Then try imagining the intensity of the light of the hand which came out of that sidr. This is how can we understand what is Haqiqat al-Muhammadiyah? If we cannot understand Haqiqat al-Muhammadiyah, then when we are saying Assalamu alaikum, Ya Ahlebaith al-Nubuwwa wa Mawdi' al-Risala, this is an indication to the fact that they are the ones who are the inheritors of Haqiqat al-Muhammadiyah. And in reality, Haqiqat al-Muhammadiyah is equals to Haqiqat al-Alawiyah. Because Amir al-Mu'mineen himself said in the famous sermon of Ma'rifat al-Nuraniyah, he said to Salman and Abu Zar, Ya Salman wa Ya Janab, Ana Muhammad wa Muhammad Ana. Wow. I am Muhammad and Muhammad is me. Both the realities are the same. So we are discussing Ahlebaith al-Nubuwwa, the people of the household. The people of the household. See, there are two houses of the Prophet. One was the materialistic house, common house made up of stones, for example. It had an architecture, it had a structure, it had a form. And for this, the Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tadkhulu buyutan nabiy illa yu'dhana lakum. Oh believers, do not enter the houses of the Prophet unless you have the prior permission from them for entering the houses. This is a materialistic house. But apart from this, are we referring to this? Everyone knows that Janab Zahra and the Imams of the Ahlebaith, they are the inheritors of this worldly land, of this worldly house. We know this. But are we in reality referring to the same house? The Prophet has one house on the earth, which is made of bricks and stones. And then the Prophet of Islam has one divine house. And this house has two doors. One door is towards the Khaliq, and the other door is towards the Makhluq. One door opens up to the Creator, and the other door opens up to the creation. And all the fuyuz and barakat and all the blessings and bounties from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reach His creation through this house. All the blessings and bounties from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reach His creation through this house. And all the ibadah, the salat and siyam and hajj and zakat of the creation reach the Creator through this house. It has two different aspects. Hence we find that the Imam Bab al-Hawaid, Sahib al-Maqamat wal-Ma'arij, Imam Musi Kazim alayhi Imam to whom this night is associated with, the Imam Kazim alayhi salam said about Amir al-Mu'mineen and Rasulullah. About Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Imam alayhi salam said, Zahirhuma bashariyatun wa batinhuma lahutiyatun. That their apparent, what the face that you see might be a bashari face, might be a human face, but their inner part and their batin is actually lahuti. It is connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the robe that we are referring to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ الْمَتِينِ, that attach yourself to the robe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Robe acts as a connection between something which is on a very higher level and something which is on a very lower level. It acts as a medium between the two. This house of Rasulullah, the heavenly and the celestial and the divine house, is actually a medium between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creation, between the creator and the creation. When we are saying Assalamu alaikum Ya Ahlebaith an-Nubuwwah, we are actually referring to the fact that these Ahlebaith are the inheritors of both the houses. The house on this world, Salawat Muhammad and And then we come to the point where we say, وَمَوْضِعَ الرِّسَالَةِ, they are the location of the message, not the messengers. They are the location of the message. They are the place of the message which was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First, let us understand what is in fact a message. What is Risalah itself? What is Risalah? What is Risalah? You see that our Prophet is the greatest Prophet. He is the greatest amongst 1,24,000 as well as greatest amongst 313. He is the greatest Nabi and the greatest Rasul. He is on, again, the Risalat al-Mutlaqa, which is again synonymous to Khilafat al-Ilahiyya, the greatest position. The greatest position. And he is Rasul, the messenger. And messenger is associated with the message. Try and look for that particular message which we are referring to. They are the location of the message. The Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought down a lot of messages. For example, the message of La ilaha illallah, the message of Salah, for example, the message of Siyam, for example, the fasting, the praying, Hajj, Zakat. These were the different messages that were conveyed and propagated by Rasulullah. But did Allah use the word message or risalah with any of these things? Try and read and find in the glorious Quran. Where did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use the word message and risalah? Where did He use? Ya ayyuhar rasul balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik wa in lam taf'al fama ballaghta risalata. If you do not do this, وَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ, if you do not do this, then it is as if you have not conveyed the message. The message that we are referring to is what? The Wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Or should I say that while our Rasul is the greatest Rasul and his message is the greatest message, so allow me to say that the greatest messenger is Muhammad Rasulullah and the greatest message is Ali. If you do not this, if you do not do this, then it is that you, as if you haven't conveyed the message. You haven't conveyed the risala, the message. If we make a mathematical equation of this ayah, وَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ, if you do not do this, then it is as if you haven't conveyed the message. If we make a mathematical equation of this phrase, then that equation would be that Risalat minus the declaration of Ghadir is equals to 0. A simple mathematical equation. Anyone who has studied mathematics would make this equation. If you do not do this, it is as if you haven't conveyed the message. وَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ. Risalat minus I'lan Ghadir is equals to 0. Is equals to 0. And everyone who has studied mathematics knows that x minus y is equals to 0. What does it mean? It means x is equals to y. Risalat minus I'lan Vilayat is equals to 0 implies that Risalat is equals to I'lan Vilayat. Salawat If you do not do this, it is as if you haven't conveyed the message. And they are Assalamu alaikum ya Ahlebaith an-nubuwwa wa mawdi' ar-risala. The location of the message. And not only this message, rather we again read in the Zarat al-Jami' itself that وَعِنْدَكُمْ مَا نَزَلَتْ بِهِ رَسُولُهُ وَحَبَطَتْ بِهِ مَلَائِكَتُهُ. That we read in Zarat al-Jami' itself that we address the Ahlebaith and say that in your possession are the messages which were brought down by the messengers. With you are in possession of all the things which were brought down by the messengers. And similarly, we find in Zarat al-Jamia itself, the last and final point for today. Similarly, we find in Zarat al-Jamia itself that we read in Zarat al-Jamia that the Ahlebaith in relationship to prophethood and messengership. Prophethood, the prophets and the messengers. In relationship to Anbiya and Rasul, what the Ahlebaith, what connection do they have? So we read in Zarat al-Jamia that they are the Safwatul Mursaleen wa Sulalatul Nabiyyin. They are the Sulala of Anbiya, the prophets, and they are the Safwa of Mursaleen, the messengers. What do I mean by these words? Safwa and Sulala. What does Safwa mean and what does Sulala mean? What are the meanings of these two words? Safwa and Sulala. What do they mean? What do they mean? Try and understand this through an example. For example, if you go to a garden and you pluck rose, for example, a beautiful rose, and you have its petals with you, and you take the collect the petals of the rose, and you go to your home and you boil those petals until and unless you have the essence of those petals left with you. The summary and the gist and the essence of those petals of rose left with you until you have the rose water before you. The rose water is what? It is actually the summary of the entire rose. It is actually the summary of the rose. It is the essential, it is the essence of the rose. It is actually the gist of the rose in the form of the rose water which you have before you. This rose water is what? This is the sulala of the rose. This is the sulala. I need all your attention to the last and final point, and we'll end our discussion for today. This is the sulala of the rose. This is the gist and summary and whatever was there in the rose, you'll find it there in the sulala. You'll find it there in the rose water. And what is Safwa? Safwa is another degree of purification. You take that rose and you make, for example, you go on a very concentrated solution until you get the itr out of it. Wow. You get the perfume out of it, which has the fragrance of the smell of the rose. This itr or this perfume is what? It is the safwa of the rose. That rose water was what? It was the sulala of the rose. Both of these things, what do they imply? That the summary and gist and the essence of the rose is where? Is in the rose water and in the perfume made from that rose. This is sulala and this is safwa. We address the Ahlebaith as Sulalatun Nabiyyin wa Safwatul Mursaleen. If 1,24,000 prophets are a rose, then you are the essence and the rose water of that rose. If 313 Rasools or the messengers are a rose in the form of a rose, then you are the perfume or the itr of those 313 Risala. If I need to smell the perfume of the repentance of Adam, if I have to smell the perfume of Munajat of Nuh, if I have to smell the perfume of the khullat of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, if I have to smell the perfume of, for example, say, the haibat of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, where should I go? I should go to the doorstep of Muhammad and Ala Muhammad. There you will find the perfume of 1,24,000 prophets and 313 Rasools. The gist and the summary and the khulasa, where is it present? It is present in the house of Muhammad and Ala I'll end my today's discussion here, inshallah. Tomorrow we will be moving a step forward. Assalamu alaikum ya Ahlebaith al-Nubuwwa wa mawdi' ar-Risala wa mukhtalaf al-malaika. I'll be leaving mukhtalaf al-malaika for the Urdu Majlis for day after tomorrow, inshallah. And then the next wa Mahabbat al-Wahi. Inshallah, we'll be discussing Mahabbat al-Wahi and Ma'adam al-Rahma, inshallah, tomorrow. But before that, I will be first finishing off Sulalatun Nabiyyin and Safwatul Mursaleen. There is a bit more into this topic of Prophet, the household of prophethood and location of the message, which is Sulalatun Nabiyyin and Safwatul Mursaleen. Inshallah, we will be beginning our discussion tomorrow with this part of Ziyaratul Jami'atul Kabira. This night, the night of 7th Safar. The day of 6th Safar has passed, and this is the day of 7th Safar. This day is associated with one of our imams, Babul Hawaij, Imam Kazim alayhi salam. And we cannot celebrate this day because of the mourning of our Abdullah Hussain. And hence every year I have been reciting the Messiah of Imam Kazim alayhi salam this night. And I will to narrate before you the Messiah of Imam Kazim alayhi salam this night. Let us remember the Imam tonight whose body was placed on the wooden plank. And that wooden plank was taken from the dungeon of Baghdad to the bridge of Baghdad. And the caller was continuously calling out, Ya Ahl Baghdad, Hada Imam al-Rafiq. Oh, the people of Baghdad, come and see, this is the Imam of the Rafiq. The Imam who spent at least 14 years in the presence of God. At least 14 years. As Mirza Kabir Allah Maqam said, Maula pa intihai asiri guzar sultan mein jawaniyon bhi nahi guzar. At least 14 years in the presence of Allah. There was an alim of our madhab by the name of Fahad Mirza. Fahad Mirza was actually a scholar, not only a scholar, but a prince from the Qachar dynasty. The Qachar dynasty which ruled over Iran, Qachar, from Bani Qachar. He was actually a prince of the Qachar dynasty, Fahad Mirza. And he was also a scholar. He wrote a book on the Maqtal of Sayyid al-Shuhada. But apart from that, he had a special connection with Imam Kazim alayhi salam. And he was a very wealthy man. he was a prince of the Qacha dynasty, and hence the present shrine of Kazamen, which we have, a lot of contributions were made to that shrine by Fahad Mirza rahimahullah. And this same Fahad Mirza had a special connection with our seventh Imam. Someone would say to him, "Oh Fahad Mirza, you have such enormous amounts of wealth. Why don't you make a bank of yours? Why don't you create a bank of yours and you invest there?" Fahad Mirza would reply by saying that I have a bank. Do you know where is my bank? My bank is not a worldly bank, but I have a bank which would help me in the hereafter. If you want to see my bank, go and visit Kazamen, where my seventh Imam lies. There you will see what investment I have done. He had contributed generously to the shrine of our seventh Imam, a devout lover of our seventh Imam. What happened? When he was about to die, he was in Baghdad itself. When he was about to die, he made a will. He said, "Oh, the people of my house, I am a prince. I'm also a scholar. Hundreds and thousands of people would be present in my funeral. But I ask you, you bathe me and you shroud me, but you do not take my coffin. You do not take my coffin. But who should take my coffin?" He says that call a few laborers from the market of Baghdad and ask them to take my coffin from my house to the bridge of Baghdad and place it there. In the love of my seventh Imam, in the love of Imam Qasim alayhi salam, place my coffin on the bridge of Baghdad. The scholars narrate that hundreds and thousands of people gathered in his funeral. He was a prince as well as a scholar and a lover of the Ahlebaith. Hundreds and thousands of people in Baghdad gathered for his funeral, but everyone was asked. No one would accompany him, accompany his coffin. Who would take his coffin? Few laborers were called from the market of Baghdad. They were asked to take his coffin from his home and place it at the bridge of Baghdad. As soon as the coffin was placed on the bridge of Baghdad, hundreds and thousands of people were there. Each and every person, no one could hold his tears. Everyone was crying and wailing. What is this? This is a prince, and there are hundreds and thousands of people present there. But there are a few laborers who are taking his coffin from his house and placing it on the bridge of Baghdad. At that moment, an alim says, he narrates that he saw a vision. He saw someone before him tied in chains, chains in his hand, chains in his leg, and he said, "I ask you to pick up the coffin from the bridge of Baghdad." Hundreds and thousands of people are waiting to take part in the funeral. I ask you to pick up the coffin from the bridge of Baghdad. This musibat is reserved only and only for me. No one was present when my body was there on the bridge of Baghdad. أجركم على الله، جعلكم الله من البركين، أحسن الله لكم العزاء. The dungeons of Baghdad, what were the dungeons of Baghdad? What was? How was that prison of Baghdad? As a poet says, बेकसी उनकी बयां करते हैं यूं इब्न हजर, जहरे बेदाद से मारा गया जाने शब्बर, 3 दिन फर्श पे तड़पा वो पैगंबर का जिगर, बेलियां पहने हुए कैद से निकला मरकर, बेलियां पहने हुए कैद से निकला मरकर, कलमा गो बैठे रहे दफ्न को हम मालाए, पूरे बगदाद में लाशें गुजरी तंग वो तारीख वो हुजरा वो पैगंबर का जिगर, रोशनी का न जहां दखल, हवा का न गुजर, खत्म होती थी न शाम और न आती थी सहर, कुलफते शाम के जिंदान जवा से बढ़कर, कलमा कुलफते शाम के जिंदान जवा से बढ़कर, वहां से तब चंद गिरफ्तारों में बच जाते थे या सब एक ही कैदी में से आखिरी जुमले उर्दू में सुन लीजिए, मैं इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ। इमाम की शहादत 3 दिन फर्श पे तड़पा वो पैगंबर का जिगर, 3 दिन के 3 दिन कैसे गुजरे थे? 3 दिन इमाम के रवायत भाई साहिब माली से बताए लिखते सुनिए अज़ीज़ान गिरामी, इमाम की कैफियत क्या थी? जहर दिया गया, जहर देने के बाद 3 दिनों तक इमाम तड़पते रहे। 3 आप जरा तसव्वुर कीजिए, जिसे जहर दिया जाता है वो तड़पता है, मगर वो कैसे तड़पे जिसका کبھی شاید بغداد کے قید خانے کی دیوار میں میرے 7ویں امام کے خون کے وہ دھبے لگے ہوئے. 3 دن فرش پہ تڑپا وہ پیغمبر کا جگر کس طریقے سے تڑپے امام خدا جانے کیسے. کیا حال تھا میرے امام کا. زیارت کے جملے ہیں, صلوات کاظمیہ کے فقرے ہیں. رزاق المرغود بحلق القیود, ارے سلام ہو اس امام پر جس کی پنڈلیوں کا گوشت بحریوں کے سبب جدا ہو گیا. سلام ہو اس امام پر جس کی پنڈلیوں کا گوشت بحریوں کے سبب جدا ہو گیا تھا. ہم آج جب تابوت کی شبیہ اٹھاتے ہیں تو کتنے احترام کے ساتھ تابوت اٹھاتے ہیں, مگر سنیں امام کی زیارت کا جملہ کیا ہے. رزاق المردود بحلق القیود والجنازۃ منادا علیہ بتم الاستغفار. ارے سلام ہو اس امام پر جس کے جنازے پہ توہین آمیز کلمات کرے گا. منادی ندا دے رہا تھا, اہل بغداد دیکھو یہ رافضیوں کا امام ہے, یہ روافض کا پیشوا ہے. عزیزان گرامی زہر دیا سندی ابن شاہ کے ملعون نے, خدا کی لعنت و سندی ابن شاہ اور ہارون رشید ملعون پر ایسا بدترین عذاب خداوند عالم ان پر نازل کرے جو اہل دوزخ کے لیے عبرت بن جائے. زہر دیا 3 دنوں تک امام 23 رجب کو زہر دیا, 24 رجب 25 رجب امام طلبتے رہے. صاحب مقاتل اس روایت کو تحریر کرتے اور بہت ساری کتابوں میں اس کا ذکر آپ حضرات کو مل جائے گا کہ جب 25ویں رجب آئی اور ہارون رشید ملعون آیا, اس نے آ کر سندی ابن شاہد سے پوچھا بتاؤ رافضیوں کا امام ابھی زندہ ہے یا دنیا سے رحلت کر گیا. سندی ابن شاہ کے ملعون نے ہارون کی طرف دیکھا, دیکھ کر نہیں ابھی سانسیں چل رہی, ابھی سانسیں چل رہی ہیں. 23 رجب کو زہر دیا گیا, 24 25 ابھی سانسیں چل رہی. ہارون رشید ملعون کہتا ہے مجھے جلدی ہے, مجھے کام سے نکلنا جلدی سے جلد از جلد مجھے رافضیوں کے امام کی موت کی خبر سناؤ. سندی ابن شاہ کے ملعون در زندان میں داخل ہوا, دیکھا امام کروٹیں بدل رہے ہیں, امام تڑپ رہے ہیں. ہارون کا حکم ہے جلد از جلد شہادت, سنیں گے آپ حضرات اگر سن پائیں, جلد از جلد شہادت کی خبر سناؤ, جلد از جلد قتل کی خبر سنیں. امام کو زہر دیا گیا, امام 3 دنوں تک زہر سے تڑپے ہیں, مگر ان روایات کے مطابق امام کی شہادت زہر سے واقع نہیں ہوئی. کس وجہ سے واقع ہوئی؟ سندی ابن شاہ کے ملعون زندان میں داخل ہوا, دیکھا امام کی سانسیں چل رہی ہیں, اپنے خادموں کو اپنے نوکروں کو بلایا, کہتا اکیلے مت آنا, ایک قالین لے کر آؤ. قالین لایا گیا, میرے امام کے جسد اطہر کو قالین میں کی زمین درسی آسمان در رہا, ایک ماں فریاد کر رہے میرا بچہ بڑا بنا, کتنے ظلم نہ ہو گئے.
آج بغداد میں کوئی قیدی ہو گیا ہے رہا رضا مولا, پل پہ تیرے غریب بابا کا ہے جنازہ رکھا رضا مولا. آج بغداد میں کوئی قیدی ہو گیا ہے رضا مولا. آج بغداد میں کوئی قیدی ہو گیا ہے رضا مولا. ایک بی بی हो गया है बेहारजा मौला। रात से पुल पे लाशा रखा है, जो गुजरता है उस पे हंसता है। रात से पुल पे लाशा रखा है, जो गुजरता है उस पे हंसता है। बेबसी पर तुम्हारे बाबा की रो रही है बाजार का मौला। आज बगदाद में कोई कैदी हो गया है ये हाल का मौला। हाल अच्छे नहीं है मैयत के, आ जाए दास से इमामत के। हाल अच्छे नहीं है मैयत के, आ जाए दास से इमामत के। शहर बगदाद से मदीने का है बहुत फासला रज़ा मौला। आज बगदाद में कोई कैदी